Week 10 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers this week. The first receiver, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine of the Tennessee Titans. So Westbrook-Ikhine, the last couple weeks, he's had the knack for the end zone 3 weeks in a row, finding the end zone for this Tennessee Titan team. And behind Calvin Ridley, there's not much. Tyler Boyd, it's been a down year for him. Mason Rudolph and Westbrook-Ikhine working a lot with the second team. And in preseason and training camp have the good rapport down. And that's why I believe he's starting to put up numbers. Having at Buffalo, 2 catches, 10 yards, a touchdown. Week 8 at the Lions, 2 catches, 39 yards, found the end zone. And week 9 versus the Patriots, 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. So this week, a tougher matchup at the Los Angeles Chargers, where their defense has been great over the last few weeks and pretty much shut down that Cleveland Brown offense until they scored a touchdown in garbage time. But Westbrook-Ikhine, like I said, he's got the rapport down with Mason Rudolph. He's got the knack for the end zone. And this week, like I said, it's not the greatest of matchups, but he could find some garbage time points as well. And he's available in 96% of fantasy leagues. The next wide receiver, Cedric Wilson of the New Orleans Saints. Cedric Wilson looks like he might be operating as that number 1 or 2 wide receiver for the Saint team. He's out there in 99% of fantasy leagues. And this Saint team's banged up. Obviously, at the wide receiver position, Chris Olave, I believe he's not going to play with a bad concussion, obviously, where he had to go to the hospital last week, getting stretched off. And also, Bub Means, he's on IR as well. So Cedric Wilson, one of the last men standing on this receiving corps for this New Orleans Saints team right now. So week 9 at Carolina, 2 catches, 34 yards. This week, a decent matchup on paper versus the Falcons. Give up the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. And this New Orleans Saints team, they're trying to find answers with Dennis Allen fired. And maybe we'll see a new approach in this offense and see who could play. But a few years ago, Cedric Wilson, he was a pretty good wide receiver with the Dallas Cowboys, but went to Miami and now here with the Saints, and the numbers just haven't been the same. And the third and final wide receiver I have as a sleeper option this week, Noah Brown of the Washington Commanders. So the last couple weeks, Noah Brown, he's been into the playbook more, and he's starting to make plays, including that Hail Mary touchdown to win the ball game week 8 versus the Chicago Bears. So Noah Brown, he was a good offseason signing after he was surprisingly cut in training camp by the Houston Texans, and picked him up was this Washington Commander team. So the last couple weeks, week 8 versus the Bears, like I mentioned, 3 catches, 73 yards, game-winning touchdown on the Hail Mary. And week 9 at the Giants, 5 catches, 60 yards. So this week, not a great matchup versus a good defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, but besides, obviously, Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz at times, there's not really a number 2 bona fide option in this offense in the passing game. So Noah Brown, last season, we saw some big games out of him, obviously, with the Houston Texans, and the last 2 games he's had double-digit fantasy points in PPR leagues. So if you need a deep desperation play in sleeper, he's out there in 94% of fantasy leagues. That's a few wide receivers that have his sleepers for week 10 of the fantasy football season.